Computerized Start is brought to you by my awesome patrons on Patreon, and by your tips and memberships on Ko-fi. These and other channel supporters make my live streams possible. You too can become a channel supporter with tiers starting at just $1. And as always, thank you for all your support, including sharing, chatting, liking, and subscribing. Now roll that famous logo animation. Okay, is this better? OBS decided to change the audio device randomly without warning. So let's start that again. Welcome back to Computerized Start Live. I'm your host, Justin D. Morgan, and it is a sweltering 80.6 degrees Fahrenheit in the basement. Why I delayed the stream twice. First time because I knew I wasn't going to be ready, and the second time after I took the trash out and it was so hot and humid outside, I needed a little more time before I wanted to come back down into the heat. So, all right, we have we have people in the chat who are luckily now able to hear me. I can't tell you why OBS decides to randomly change things, but at least we fixed that early. Let's see here. We have in the chat, we have Dave's Vintage Apple Tech. Hi, Dave. We have Thomas Armstrong. Hi, Thomas. We have CMD Big Mike. Hi, Big Mike. We have Kevin. Hi, Kevin. We have SadMac356. Hi, SadMac. Umus is hoping there'll be Wheel of Regrets tonight. I will address that in a moment. We have Hardware Hacker Eep. We have Game.co4. Hi, Doc. We have SJ Brian EXE. Howdy, SJ. We have, let's see here, anyone else that I've missed? SJ says we have smoke in the air, 2 here in South Jersey. They're calling for smoke tomorrow. Although it was probably in the upper atmosphere today to some extent. We have Salvage Geek. Hi, Salvage Geek. Harder Hacker says he's using my exploding chip emoji, how I feel in the heat. Yes. I felt like I was going to evaporate when I took the trash out. So let's see. Thomas says it's 20 degrees C here and no smoke. Well, it's going to be like 90 some degrees here with, I think they're saying the air quality is going to be potentially in the dangerous level. And it's just from wildfire smoke that's, I think, coming from somewhere in Canada. I'm not exactly sure where. Anyways, all right, so we have a coffee goal. A link is in the description. I do also have an important announcement that, it hopefully won't affect the channel in the short term, but it may result in some short notice cancellations and otherwise things I wasn't planning to do this year. But anyways, I'm looking for a new job, so there we go. So I am still employed at the moment. However, my employment has an end date now, so I am looking for a new job. So that just was not on my bingo card for this year, but due to that, I have... Oh, thank you, Hardware Hacker. Hardware Hacker says good luck. Anyways, due to that, I have put unfunded Wheel of Regrets purchases on hiatus. So if I do have Wheel of Regrets, it's going to either be one of the few packages that you can't see that I haven't opened yet, or it might be something that got funded in one way or another, such as I sold a bunch of stuff on eBay and let myself buy an item. But anyways, Hardware Hacker says, hopefully it was your choice and not theirs. I wish I could say that. Thomas says, oh, I can ship you regrets. Remember, I said it was, I didn't see it on my bingo card. SJ says, I had that bad news mid-February. Hope you have an easier time getting back to work than me. Yes, well, at the moment, they gave us more than, almost twice the notice that they legally had to, so I guess there's that. And there are positions open, so places around town, so maybe I won't have to move anywhere. There is that, but there's also the chance I may have to move somewhere, and yeah, there's that. I'm not ready to move. Moving was also not on my 2026 bingo card. Partly because there's nowhere for me to move in this area that would be a better house than the one I have, because interest rates are up and housing prices are up in the area. It's not like I could upgrade houses without also majorly upgrading my house payment. So, anyways, yeah. Yeah, Joseph. Hi, Joseph. Welcome. Joseph Norris says, 90s computing was the best. So many different options and different operating systems to try out and play with. Things today are boring in comparison. Yes, they are. So anyways, that is, I guess, the news update I needed to announce. That is probably contributed to me not feeling well a time or two in the past week. That, and well, I might have eaten something that, unfortunately, not whatever food is making people sick that's in the news, but I may have also eaten something that just didn't agree with me. But anyways, Hardware Hacker says, welcome to the inaugural episode of Justin Flips Burgers. I'm your host, Justin D. Morgan. Nope, I did not. Yeah, Thomas, I did not eat Garage Sushi or Taco Bell. I know you're kidding, Hardware Hacker. Nope, I hardly ever eat a Taco Bell. In fact, I hardly ever eat out these days. So, but anyways, that's why there's no Wheel of Regrets tonight. And now, I as I did allude to, I did sell a bunch of stuff on eBay over the past week. And I did let myself buy a video card that popped up on eBay. It's not a Trident card, but it popped up at a good price, and I looked at how much I'd sold, and luckily I had some spendable funds, and I said, okay, I'll allow myself to buy a video card. So I still will try to find occasional Wheel of Regrets entries, but it'll probably be because I've sold some stuff on eBay and I let myself buy a little item just so we can at least have a little bit of Wheel of Regrets continuation. All right, Joseph, good night. Oh yeah, I'm feeling better tonight. Yeah, it just was some indigestion. I didn't feel like coming down to the basement to stream. So yeah, it was a good one, Hardware Hacker. So anyways, I hope to maybe have some small little occasional Wheel of Regrets entries to tide folks over. But at the moment, I'm going to stop Wheel of Regrets purchases, hoping that it's a short job search, but with the reality of it could take a little bit of time. So basically, I'm kind of stripping my purchases down to bare minimum. So I will still I will still try to have occasional Wheel of Regrets entries, but not anything big or fancy. I mean, unless I find something big on eBay for cheap, or something fancy on eBay for cheap. But it probably won't be big and fancy, because it's kind of like one of those pick two of the three, fast, cheap, or good. Yeah. Yeah, I can't get all three, probably. Thomas Armstrong's asking, says, I have my eBay regret self-inflicted not reading the ad correctly. Yeah. So anyways, I don't have Wheel of Regrets tonight. I do regret to have to mention that, but hopefully we'll have a little something at some point next week. Assuming I don't know how long it'll take. But, and I did sell some things that I've been needing to sell on eBay. So, that's good. Oh, thank you, Hardware Hacker, funding the burger episodes. Ha ha ha, $10. Yes, I have 10 little dollars. Thank you, Hardware Hacker. I will put that to good use. So, I guess if anyone's wondering, yes, I've got some things listed on eBay, but at the moment, I've got a Dark Rock Pro 4 heatsink because I bought those Noctua heatsinks for the two computers I'm building. Oh, yeah, the other thing is at the moment, I'm going to continue using my current streaming computer. And I'll build that computer later, so I'm just going to hold off on, like, buying everything else I need to build two computers. And I'm focusing on getting the video editing computer going on the cheap. And while I usually have been shying away from sponsored videos because it requires you to, like, run a sponsor ad or something, I may reach out to a company or two that offer products that would be complementary to building my video editing computer and see if they'd be interested in sponsoring the video. Kind of maybe defray a little bit of the cost of that. So anyways, Thomas asks, are you close? Yeah, basically, to get the video editing computer built, I had to buy a power supply because I didn't have a power supply that had enough rating for for any of the potential video cards I'm going to put in it. And then a USB front panel hub. Thomas is asking, am I close to Rock Hill, South Carolina? No, I am not close to South Carolina. Hardware Hacker says, by all means, sponsorship. So yeah, I'm going to try to reach out to their company. I took an initial look on their website. Beats me if they've got a contact that I can reach out to, but I'll see about it. And they might say no, but I was like, it wouldn't hurt to ask. Maybe they might say yes. So, and don't worry, it's not like I'm thinking about reaching out to a VPN company. I mean, I guess maybe I could if it came down to it, but I've got something else in mind that is more applicable to building a computer than signing up for a VPN service for a computer that's going to stay in your house. I mean, I guess VPNs still help you in that case, but anyways, we'll see. They might say no. I might not be able to find a contact info to even ask them, so. Anyways, I guess with that, it's probably just as good a time as any to go back to the Mac Plus that we were looking at last week. So we have the Mac Plus, It's got 4 megabytes of RAM. It has the MiniPerformer Plus JCM Edition. I think we have the 40 megahertz math coprocessor installed in it, and I think I have the 40 megahertz crystal installed in it. Oh, Thomas Armstrong says, hello, computer talking to mouse. Yes, hello, computer. And, all right, so we got the floppy emu. I don't have to go hunting for it, because right here it is. And I got a blue SCSI, and I think what we need to do tonight is we need to install, we need to do a fresh install of an operating system on it. So let's go ahead and let's see here. So we'll let it boot. Kevin says System 608 with only 4 megs of RAM. I had a problem with System 6. Well, you know, we could, I honestly would like to run System 6 on this. I don't really need to multitask. But okay. I'll tell you what, if we can figure out the problem that I was having with System 6, then we'll install System 6. But in order to do that, I do need to switch operating systems here. So let's see, System Picker. And System 6. And let me go ahead and... Oh, hold on. That's the wrong version of Stuff It. All right. Let me get it ready for rebooting into System 6 and trying to figure out the problem. Anyways, the short summary of the problem was I thought I tried System 6 last week. And I couldn't get, or seemingly couldn't get the extension or the control panel to run. Well, that's inconvenient. Oh, and something tells me we're rebooting into System 6 now. Yeah, the crash. I think the crash is related to some extension. All right. Let's try this. All right. Let's do this instead. Okay, so we're going to switch to System 6. How about let's swipe the control panel from the System 7 install. which means it's going to be in control panels. All right. There we go. That way we don't have to run stuff it. All right, and then we need to put this in system 608. Hey, Retro Tech Chris, welcome. And then do they have to go in the system? Oh, that's probably not going to. Okay, I shouldn't have. Oh. Do control panels go in the system by chance, or is that just fonts? Desk accessory, desk. Oh. Okay, so desk accessories go in the system. Sounds. Okay. Screens, preferences, scrapbook, startup, finder. All right, well, let's see. Let's see. All right, let's see what happens here. All right, Thomas, we'll see you when you get back. All right, so let's switch to System 6. And... oh! It loaded. Ah. Maybe the problem solved. Hi, Jesse, welcome. All right, so we're running System 608. It, I think we can get rid of that extension. Well, look at that. System 608, Finder 160K, System 456K. Wow. Chris says, my house is very quiet. I sent everyone to Disney World. Yeah. Well, you know, that's not what I'm looking for. I don't know what I'm looking for. Let's see if we got rid of that annoying extension on startup. Hey, Sloopy Malibu, welcome. Sloopy's telling Chris, I'll have to come over and make some noise. You know, I bet we could free up some more memory if we maybe don't... You know, that backdrop program looks nice, but... it just slows the system down. There we go. We'll remove that. Jesse says, I have enough chaos to unquiet a whole city right now. I should send the problem over. Oh. Oh, there we go. I don't know why this extension wasn't showing up last week in System 6. Maybe I dropped it in the wrong system folder or something. So what is this handoff? Oh, I think we can probably ditch that. That just adds bloat. Init picker? Oh, wait. Is this like the... Oh, well, that's kind of cool. Mount image. Okay, I think we can leave that one. Hand off to... All right. Let's streamline this system folder just a little bit more. Yeah, it's like Extensions Manager, but it's, like, not straightforward how you configure it. I want, like, a lean, mean system file. Because if I could get that, maybe I don't need to reinstall System 6. Although, maybe we should anyways. I'll leave that disk mounting utility. It looks like it could be handy. There, look at that. By getting rid of that handoff, probably handoff really was the big one. That freed up another, like, 70K or so. That's what I'm talking about. Now we got, like, 3.5 megs to use. So... let's see how well maybe things run. Oh, wait a minute. I just realized, though. Maybe we do need to reinstall System 6 anyways. I just realized, do we have any printer drivers? Oh, no. There are no printer drivers. Okay, well, that might be a good reason to... That might be a good reason to install System 6 anyways. Actually, let's go ahead and do this. So I'm going to restart. And I just inserted a System 6 disk in the floppy EMU. And now that we've seen how clean System 6 can be, let's install a System 6 installer actually designed for running on actual hardware, as opposed to one that was probably really intended to run on like a Mr. FPGA or something. Something that you would never connect a real printer to. After all, if I take this over to Steve's house, I might want to be able to hook an image writer up to it. Actually, I have an image writer. I might want to hook an image writer up to it. Without taking it to Steve's house first. All right, now we have to be patient because we don't have the accelerator card extension installed, so we are most certainly running without the accelerator enabled. And it looks like, the blue SCSI's blinking, so I think we are waiting for the Finder to mount the hard drive images. I can definitely see why someone back in the day would have considered an accelerator if they weren't quite ready to jump up to a new Mac, because I have to remember the Mac Plus was several $1,000s. I was trying to think of the cost. Because the original Mac, 128K Mac, was $24.99. I wanted to say the Mac Plus was like was more than that. I don't remember what it launched at. You'd have had a big investment in your Mac Plus with 1 mega RAM. And granted, there'd be advantages to buying a new Mac that natively supported the 68030 processor. But, I mean, that would have involved buying a whole new Mac and then maybe selling your Mac Plus to pay for part of it. Or you just install an accelerator card that clips onto your Mac and gets you a little more life. Granted, you'd be limited to 4 megs of RAM for sub-accelerators. Sub-accelerator cards actually had SIM slots on them and could possibly could have broken the 4 megabyte barrier. I don't know if any of those came out for the Mac Plus, but Retro Tech Chris says someone at VCF Southwest jammed a 68060 into a Mac and made it work. Called it the Hextra. Nice. Yeah, I have. Yeah, I'm sure that took some work. I think Motorola made some fairly considerable architecture changes between the 68040 and the 68060, or so I've been told. Chris says, yeah, there were opcode changes he had to make up. Yeah, Motorola. That's probably one reason Apple didn't go with the 68060. One reason would have been Motorola's. They probably knew Motorola was making architectural changes. But the other reason would have been that I think even if they'd gone to the 68060, the Pentium would have been running circles around Mac, so they had to go to a whole new architecture anyways. So, PowerPC. All right, the thing is, the blue SCSI is still blinking. I think we are loading. Chris says, you could say that Apple took a risk. RISC. Yes, they did. Good one. Hmm. Oh, thank you to Drone Doctor. All right. Drone Doctor says, long time lurker, enjoy the vids. Thank you. Well, thank you, Drone Doctor, for the coffee tip. I will put that to good use. Sadmax says, lol, that they did. We will see how long this takes to load. That is not a good sign. That is actually probably a bad sign. We will probably never know which system bomb that actually is, but undoubtedly that is an error that did not complete drawing to the screen. All right, the system is now most certainly crashed. All right, we will restart. I will reconsider reinstalling the Mac operating system. Oh, interesting. We just booted with the... Oh! That's interesting. We booted from the floppy EMU. It did not... The Mac Plus did not eject the virtual floppy disk on the reboot. Oh, probably because I hit the restart button. Thomas is asking, do I know what a 616 or new Vista is? No, I do not. Kevin says, I think having the board installed and no extension loaded causes that. Yeah, I think we... Yeah, I guess as much as I did not want to remove the accelerator... Oh, I know what I can do. I know what I can do. I can... Okay, I think it's just going to crash again, so I might as well... Okay, here's what I can do. I think this will work. Let me let it boot off the blue SCSI, assuming the hard drive image isn't corrupted. That will load the extension. Then I will mount the System 608 floppy, and then I will run the installer, and we will install System 608 into a new folder onto the blue SCSI. That will negate the need to... that should eliminate the problem of the extension not being installed. And then we will run the... Then I'll copy the the extension, or well, it's actually a control panel, into that new install, and then we'll reboot into the new install. That should solve the problem. Hi, Stian, welcome. Stian says, oops, missed the beginning of the live stream, sorry. You didn't miss any Wheel of Regrets, because there was none, so we're, yeah, I think all you missed is we're booted into, or well, we're rebooting into System 608. I had decided I was going to install a fresh copy of it, and have gotten tripped up by the fact that the accelerator is installed, and you really need to have the extension loaded or it misbehaves. And I don't really want to remove the accelerator, because I know there's probably a limited number of times you can remove it and reinstall it. If I have to, I will, but I don't. I'm going to see if I can get away with not removing it. Stian says, I had an eBay purchase actually work this month. SideQuest 5200C drive for $25. Works perfectly, too. I sold some stuff on eBay. We just won't mention how much eBay kept and how much I'll get. There we go. There we go. That should be good. Actually, maybe to help with some of the all right. There we go. That should. Ian says, yeah, not much profit in this for the guy, but I was happy. Now I can read my various old SideQuest cartridges. I left him a good review for what it's worth. Let's see. I sold a camera, 2 lenses, and a couple pairs of shoes. And it's like there's something else I sold. Let's see here. I think for the. So the camera I got my full asking price for, which was nice. One of the lenses I got the full asking price for. The other lens I took a best offer. It was a third party lens, so I kind of suspected I'd probably have to take an offer on it. I think all the shoes I ended up taking offers. Maybe because I always follow one of my grandmother's rules of advice of always start high when selling things, because you can always drop the price or negotiate down. Oh. That's weird. Oh, maybe I can't, um... I don't think there's enough room on this floppy disk to add the extension to the installer. I'm looking. That would be one way to fix it. Put the extension on the installer disk so that it can run it. All right. It looks like I'm going to probably have to remove the. It's 51K. Okay. All right. It looks like I am going to have to remove the accelerator to install. All right. Okay. All right. So to remove this, one needs to do it very carefully. So I do need to find my chip lifter or a flat screwdriver. And I probably should go to jcm-1.com and look at the product page because I think it does have a warning about where to lift the accelerator when you're removing it. It would appear as if I have. Oh, there's my chip lifter. I managed to drop it. All right. Let me see here. Ah. Let me grab a magnet here. Going to get it the lazy way. There we go. Target acquired. I think. Yeah, I'm just going to very carefully lift this. I think the warning is that Joe says you want to make sure you're lifting between the processor and the clip on the accelerator and not, for example, just making sure I didn't bend anything. All right. And not trying to, like, lift the soldered processor off the board. I guess the one good thing is, before I put that back on, I'll probably put some contact cleaner on these pins just to make sure it's squeaky clean. All right, so now I should be able to power this up. And I'm probably not. Let's see if I beat the ROM to initializing. I might have. Ian says, be very, very careful. I'm hunting gremlins. All right, so this shouldn't have any trouble because we've removed the accelerator. So hopefully it will boot into System 608 and load the hard drive and not, like, hang or anything. May take it a moment, but Well, this may take it a moment. After all, our 68,000 processors only running at 7.8 megahertz. Hardware Hacker says 1 eternity later. We still have problems with this, then I'm going to boot everyone's favorite diagnostic program, which actually works totally fine on a Mac Plus. In fact, I suspect it also works totally fine on the 68020 Max. I think when you get to 68030, it doesn't work. And yes, I'm referring to Snooper if anyone's wondering. Hardware Hacker says it'll be a SED Mac. SED. Hardware Hacker says one tiny chuckle. Thunderclap. Okay, maybe the hard drive will load someday. Someday. After all, I think an old, no. Old adage, watch pot never boils. So a watched blue scuzzy never finishes loading. Hardware Hacker says maybe it doesn't like the partitions. Well, I think the image that it's loading only has one partition. Because actually, the cool thing about Mac OS, the older versions, you could have multiple system folders, and it would only boot from the one that's blessed. I think there was only one partition and like 5 system folders. But there could be something wrong with it. Stian's asking, how's your termination, and does this need termination power? If I recall correctly, the 512KE and the Plus were the only ones that didn't supply it. The 512KE did not have SCSI. You are correct, though, in that the Mac Plus normally does not supply it. However, I do have the diode installed. So we have termination power. As you can probably tell, we have crashed. So I guess we're going to need to start from a blank blue SCSI image. I was kind of hoping to maybe keep the Mac pack so that I could leave all the apps that were in it. But I guess we're going to have to start from scratch. I guess there's nothing that says once I get the OS installed that I can't put the Mac pack image back. All right. Hardware Hacker says, I think I may have been correct about the partition, maybe. Jesse says, I have to buy a Zulu IDE hybrid next week and go deep down a rabbit hole. I'm actually thinking, Nick, there's only one partition, and it's possible because I'm now looking at the file size of the blue SCSI image that it's quite possible that the reason it was crashing is because it's a nearly 2 gigabyte image, and that might be too large for that version of OS. Anyways, I'm copying that image off because I'm just going to remove it from the SD card for now because I don't want it to mount it. And then I'm going to see if I have the empty hard drive. All right. Can't find the download I'm looking for. Okay. Let me also copy the. All right. I'm going to format this SD card just for sanity's sake. All right. Now I'm going to go to scuzzy.blue and download a empty hard drive file. Here we go. Oh. Oh, okay. Chris was asking if they started to ship yet. Oh, I'm thinking of Pico IDE. Jesse says Zulu IDE, they're for sale. Pico IDE is not for sale yet. Stian says, I don't recall a pre 2 gigabyte limit for HFS, but I'm not well versed in early SCSI. Stian says, there could well be something. Jesse says, Zulu has a notebook drive option. Pico doesn't yet. All right, so let's see here. There we go. Downloaded the file. Mac hard drive blanks. Let's do a... All right, I'm going to just do a 100 megabyte. I think I'll just put... My choices were 100 megabytes, 1 gigabyte, or 2 gigabytes. All right. Now I'm going to copy my Blue SCSI INI back to the SD card, because for the Mac Plus you do need a Blue SCSI INI. And then let me rename this file. All right. All right. There we go. Okay. So now I should have a 100 megabyte image file that we can format and install macOS 608 on, because it's not like I really needed all that bloat of whatever the Mac Pack had. Now, of course, the question is, can I... Oh, there it is. Can I find the microSD card slot? There we go. All right. There we go. Ian says, Googling mentions a 32 megabyte limit in System 4 that was addressed in 4.1. I mean, maybe there was something corrupted on that hard 1.6 gigabyte hard drive image. I don't know what the problem was. Oh. Um... I'm looking for the disk tools. There we go. There it is. Well, that's annoying. I mean, I'm fairly sure my RAM is good, Stian. I mean, I guess we could do the following. App, I'm kind of maybe partially ahead of you there. I'll run a diagnostic. I mean, it is entirely possible that I chose poorly when I ran that formatting tool. It's possible I needed to use something else. Oh, hi, Soccer Wrench. Welcome. Soccer Wrench says, finally, the air is now only unhealthy here. It's been hazardous since this time yesterday. Ugh. Yeah, I think the smoke is going to push. I think they're predicting it might actually be all the way down here tomorrow. Ian says the air was hazardous here earlier. I started the bus up for a while. Oh, Sakarin says it broke 500 overnight. Hardware Hacker says it's been in Boston for a few days. Jesse says same. Some of our hazardous locations were measured in 4 digits. I'm gonna let this run a few cycles. Ian says a friend in Chicago asked me about air quality, but it hasn't made it all the way to me in Florida. Yeah, I was looking at a map one of the meteorologists posted, and I had trouble figuring out what the map was showing because it was uh, not a normal weather map. It was the air quality outlook map, and I want to say that they were showing that it could be as far south as North Carolina. Jesse says the Mackinac Bridge, Upper Michigan, was at 10:42 earlier this afternoon. It says hopefully it won't be a problem by the time VCF comes around. Yeah, we'll just say I won't be lollygagging around outside tomorrow. Yes, North Kakalaki. Yeah, Sakarin says purple air is showing a few sensors in North Carolina tripping to hazardous. Yep, then I remember the map correctly. Yeah, the map was so weird. I had trouble finding anywhere in Virginia on the map to get my bearings, but I finally did manage to see Richmond in the map. I think they could have done the map better considering it was covering it was making it hard to read the city names. The colors they picked for everything was just poor. I mean, even if they'd like maybe tried to like make the state borders a little more obvious, then it would have been easier to tell where the where it was showing, even if they didn't fix the city names themselves. Because I would hazard a guess that if you've lived in a state long enough, if you saw an outline of your state with weather data superimposed on it, you're roughly going to know where in the state you are, even if there's no geopolitical markings other than the outline of your state. Yeah, Harder Hacker says they should have put a bounding box with drop shadow. Yeah. For this particular map, it would have been good enough for me to see that pretty much the whole state of Virginia was covered. At that point, I don't really need to see the other geopolitical markers on the map because it pretty much, the cloud it was showing covers the whole state, I think was pretty much the summary. All right, it looks like the ram is passing Snooper. It's run the ram test a couple times. I guess we can stop this. Let me see if I've got maybe a better. Here we go. Uh oh, okay, well we won't be booting that disk. Hardware Hacker says, I have a USB-C NVMe enclosure that looks like a floppy disk. Yeah, let me see if I can... well, that's not exactly what I wanted to... Alright, well, that is System 608. Hey, Dave, welcome. Okay, so... Can we just initialize this? Address error. Um... Okay, that's not a bootable disk. Alright, let's try this. Let me see if I can find some version of a format utility that'll run. Ah, Dave says his procedure. Uh, is it? I guess for any of my viewers that didn't know, Dave had cataract surgery. Uh, so Dave says 1 week post-op visit. The left eye is healing up very good. My vision now uncorrected is 20/25. Ah, very nice. And it'll improve as time goes on. As the eye heals, it takes about a month for it to totally heal. Well, that's definitely good news, Dave. All right, so this is System 7. Apple HDSC setup. I think we can... Did I maybe put the wrong Blue Scuzzy ini file on this? All right, let me check the SD card that I created. So I installed a fresh copy of a image, or like a blank image file from the Blue Scuzzy site, and I thought I copied my Blue Scuzzy ini file over for the Mac Plus. So let me double check. So I do have a bluescuzzy.ini file. System equals Mac Plus. Okay. I am fairly sure that is the correct bluescuzzy.ini file for a Mac Plus. All right. So that's not the problem. Oh, congratulations, Hardware Hacker. Hardware Hacker has been a member for 10 months. Thank you. All right, let's try this again. So, it doesn't seem to like the image file I put on here. All right, so I just wiped my SD card again using the SD association format utility. I'm going to copy the ini file back over, and then I'm going to copy another blank image file. I think I might have a blue scuzzy or I'm gonna see if I have an image file that is actually a blank file and not one that has an HFS file system on it. Actually, we might have a better option here. Let me go to the pre-installed macOS images on the Blue Scuzzy site. No, that's not what I want. Hold on. Oh, here we go. I think this might be what I wanted. Okay, so I downloaded the wrong thing previously. I found that where they've got the images that are zeroed, so this should let me format it myself. I'm hoping the problem was that it was having trouble with there being a file system already there. All right. Okay, let's try this. Because I'm wondering if the reason why we couldn't format that last image is I'm wondering if it had an incompatible driver on it. This is a blank image, so it will not have a driver on it at all, which hopefully means that if we boot into System 608 and then open HDSC setup and partition it and then initialize it, that it will install a driver that's compatible with this system. I'm wondering if the other images maybe had a driver that wasn't really 68,000 friendly. Or at least maybe wasn't that compatible with a Mac Plus. Alright, so I need to eject this disk. There we go. Oh, excellent. So initialize. This is much better sound already. Okay, I have a feeling that image I tried to use at first probably had an incompatible driver on it. So when I was telling it to initialize the drive or partition it, it would have been using an incompatible driver. Whereas this image was zeroed, so there were no drivers on it. So this setup program should be installing a driver on it as part of this process. And it's the System 608 version of Apple HDSC setup. So it definitely should install something a Mac Plus is compatible with. I mean, I think even if I'd use System 7.0 or 7.1, then shouldn't be a problem. Hardware Hacker says maybe you could have had the update button before going to this image. The update button was not available. Nope. Update button was not available. So for whatever reason, it was not. This program, it will not let you update a drive if the driver on the disk is newer than the one it has built in. It will actually gray out the update button, which is actually another piece of evidence to support an incompatible driver. Yes, Stian says newer or unrecognized. It's the safe way to do it. Yeah, it may have also not recognized the driver, so it's not going to let you update it. Because that's also the other thing. Apple utilities would only let you install the driver on an Apple shipped disk. So if your disk has a third-party driver on it, I'm pretty sure update is unavailable. Because it doesn't recognize the driver. And I think, for anyone wondering, I think the driver it's installing is the driver code that the Mac uses to then access the data on the drive. And I'm pretty sure it's installed on the first part of it. It creates a partition at the beginning of the drive because I think the Macintosh ROMs have enough code in them to be able to start to read a disk from SCSI to load the driver, and then it uses that then for further accesses. Yeah, Stian says there's a hacked version of Apple HDSC setup that makes it work on non-Apple disks. That check doesn't go by the driver, it checks firmware attributes from the disk. But ZuluSCSI.ini and BlueSCSI.ini tweaks emulate an actual Apple drive. Yeah. So this Mac thinks I've got an Apple drive installed. I think we are initializing. I went to a 500 megabyte image, so I think we are initializing a 500 megabyte image. I'm not worried about the fact it hasn't finished. You know, come to think of it, that Mac pack, maybe the reason why it was somewhat unstable, um maybe the driver on that image wasn't really totally compatible with the Mac Plus. Steve says, yep, it's verifying every sector at 2 to 3 megabits a second or so. Takes a while. Yep. Unfortunately, I don't think there's a version of Apple HDSC setup that skips the verify. Yep. Still formatting. Well, hopefully it'll finish in time for us to at least get a new system installed. Yeah, that's... All right, while we wait for this, I realized I wanted to... take a moment to secure the oscillator in my on my accelerator card, so I'm gonna warm up my hot glue gun here. While the accelerator for my SE has a convenient place to put a zip tie around it to secure the oscillator, I'm just going to dab some hot glue on both sides of it, because you can dissolve it with isopropyl alcohol, so it'll be easy to remove. But I do want to make sure when I put it back together in the Mac that the oscillator doesn't fall out. Because while it feels like it's got a pretty tight fit, I don't want it to like get jostled out if I transport it. Dave says, I plan on getting one of those from Joe that's already pre-built with the chips on it. I'm lazy. Well, Dave, spoiler alert, I actually ordered it assembled from Joe. Although he was out of stock of CPUs and FPUs, so those I had to source myself. But I ordered a pre-built one because I was feeling lazy. Actually, it was the actually probably the real reason is I felt intimidated by the PLCC socket install. Because you gotta like you gotta remove the bottom of it, and then you gotta solder it in place, and there's some tight corners to not melt. So yeah, I ordered it pre-assembled, and then bought my processor from eBay. Of course, because that's the place I buy everything I later regret. But at least this processor does appear to be what it's rated at. So it runs at, well, it says it's rated at 33 megahertz. This accelerator runs it at, what, 16 megahertz? So the FPU I bought from UT Source. So, but yeah, I'm gonna dab some hot glue on the oscillator. I did install the socket so that I could try different oscillator values. So that I did install. Joe will build it without an oscillator socket. It will ship with the math coprocessor running at the CPU speed. All right, so, oh, well, I don't want to get hot glue all over my Mac Plus, so I'm not going to try to um, show this on screen. All right, so there's a dab of hot glue on that side, and let me get one on this other side here. There we go. There we go. All right. There we go. I just dabbed some glue on both sides of the oscillator. That should hopefully make it a bit more resistant to any bumps during transport. I'm just trying to get rid of the glue stringies because There we go. Yeah, now the oscillator is firmly in, should be firmly in the socket. Yep, it's not going anywhere. All right. Yeah, just wanted to give it some extra resistance if it got bumped in transport. Should I take the Mac Plus anywhere? Which, hi Jack, welcome. Yeah, Jack 68K here. All right. Now that I did my best with a hot glue gun, at which I did turn it off so that it could cool down. We'll go back to Apple HDSC setup, where we see that the initializing disk is verifying, already in progress. So hopefully this will finish soon and we can get a fresh install of 608. So I had to remove the accelerator because without the control panel installed, it was causing trouble, which is how I was able to put hot glue on it and the Mac is initializing. No, I'm not formatting an actual hard drive. We are initializing a blue SCSI blank image, but it's going as fast as a Mac Plus can. I think some of the trouble I've been having, I think, was caused by image files that may have drivers that really aren't compatible with a Mac Plus installed. So I wanted to actually initialize a blue SCSI image on the Plus. Socket Wrench says, time to hit the Mac Plus's super secret turbo button. Well, I had a catch-22. It might, well, actually, I don't think the accelerator would go fast. The accelerator would make SCSI go faster because the SCSI implementation on the Mac Plus wasn't that great. I think the SCSI chip they used was capable of like 5 megabits a second. But I think on the Mac Plus, it tops out at like 2 to 3 megabits a second. Or something like that. Yeah, I'm formatting an actual hard drive image on a blue SCSI, so it is going as fast as it can. It's a 500 megabyte image, so Dave says he hasn't turned on the PowerPC Upgrade sticker yet. Hey, Lazy Bite Boy, welcome. We're initializing a blue SCSI image. I am hoping it's almost done. Jack says, Mac Pluses of the day could not imagine 500 megabytes of storage. I mean, I wanted to make sure I didn't run out of disk space, because it's quite possible that I'm going to take that Mac pack and copy large swaths of directories off of it onto this image. Because it has a collection of games for old Macs. So, yeah, I want to be able to copy all the games off of it onto this fresh image. Because there's something about that MacPack image that's, like, just not quite working right on a Mac Plus. Jesse says, take this 40 megabyte hard drive and like it. Hardware Hacker says, we can gauge it by how close the cows are to coming home. Yeah. Jack says, or 20 megabytes. Ian says, I had a 400 megabyte external drive attached to a Plus, so I know for a fact it works. Yep, I know it works. It's just slow. Good evening, Mr. Tech Gadget. Welcome. And we're formatting a blue scuzzy disk image. It's probably been going for 20 minutes at least. Jack says, at least the spinner's still going. When it freezes, you know you're in trouble. Yeah, we had a couple of false starts on trying to format an image. Finally, I realized I needed to just go grab a zeroed image from the Blue Scuzzy site. Jack says, the Mac Plus sitting on 5 HD20s would make the screen too high. Yeah. Lazy Bite Boy says, you gotta sandwich the Mac Plus in the middle. The exciting new sequel to Malcolm in the Middle. It's Mac Plus in the middle. Jack says, lol, Mac Plus in the middle. Okay, I saw something on social media that I had to chuckle at, and it was that someone just posted the original post was make a band smaller, and it was one of those change some word in the band name to make the band name smaller, and I had to chuckle at uh, someone's idea was Fleetwood iMac or Fleetwood iPad. Harder Hacker says Mac Charlie in the middle. Yeah. like some of the other suggestions were like 8-inch nails, or I think one was 9-inch nail. Like, yeah, make the band smaller by changing one of the words. But yeah, Fleetwood iPad. Had to chuckle there. Yeah, lots of wordplay in that prompt. Trying to think of some of the other uh, good ones that took a tech twist. Carter Hacker says 9 nails. Yeah. The prompt was make the band smaller, not make the band non-existent. All right, let me see if I can find it, because some of the suggestions were like really funny. Although something tells me I won't be able to find it, but yeah, Carter Hacker says Nirvana to Nerve. Actually, I think someone had a very clever one for Nirvana, but I cannot find the post. It's gone. It's already disappeared from social media. Carter Hacker says maybe the bands didn't appreciate the manipulation of their names. Yeah, it is possible. I mean, it could have also. It's also possible the original post got taken down because the platform thought they were what's the engagement farming. Oh well. And we're still formatting. What do you know? Hmm. Carter Hacker says the blue SCSI should have had multiple 40 megabyte partitions with separate SCSI IDs. Format would have been much quicker. Well, I mean, I could have found a 40 megabyte blank image and formatted that, but then I would only have a 40 megabyte disk. Ian says you can make your own blank images to format pretty easily. I would agree on a Mac or Linux, yes. On Windows, I'm not. Yeah, I defend my choice to use one disk image. Yep, I stream from Windows though, so there's wouldn't be able to use DD on Windows. I guess I could have probably dug up um uh Disc Jockey, but well, I didn't realize it was going to take this long to format, but now we're Disc Jockey does cover Windows. You can create blank images with Disc Jockey on Windows. I don't know that you can. I think it can also add the driver partition if you're using a VM if you like created it with um, Mini VMAC or something like that. But yeah, Stian says we're in the home stretch. No point now. Oh, Stian says there's also PowerShell ways to do this, but I don't know how to do that. Yeah, I don't either. There probably is a way to do it in PowerShell. I mean, if I was running Windows 11, I could just load up the um, WSL and use DD, but I'm not running Windows 11 on this computer. Jack says, lol, I just read the last message and pictured opening PowerShell on a Mac Plus. Ha 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 ha. Stian says, all you're doing is writing a bunch of zeros to a file. Yeah. I think Disk Jockey can do it, but at least the last time I used Disk Jockey on Windows, there were a few features it did not have compared to the Mac version. Jack says PowerShell is slow enough on a modern machine. Now, what would be really cool is if there was an application that would run on Windows, Linux, or Mac, and it could create the blue SCSI image, but instead of using a fixed driver, that you could like pick which driver you wanted it to install, and it had all the popular ones. So you could tell it, I want the driver from Apple HDSC Setup 203, and it could install the driver and format the file system so that then you'd have a blank formatted drive. Jack says, this sounds like a great feature request for Disk Jockey. Maybe I will make it. Because that would be really great if you could tell it which driver to use. So that you didn't have to just use, there we go. Jack says, oh, apparently I'm not using the latest version. Ian says, kind of hard to do legally without a license for each driver. Um, okay, maybe the Apple drivers. I'm fairly sure Apple doesn't care as much about System 6 and 7 now as they used to. Oh, Stian says, I guess it's abandonware, so nobody cares, but I wouldn't want to actually put that code in a binary I distribute. Jack says it could make you download the binaries and put them somewhere so it could extract them. That would work. Click install to place version 608 of Macintosh Plus system software, all printer software. Well, that looks good to me. Jack says, just like how the emulators make you bring your own ROM. Yay, I like it how the discs are named System Tools. Utilities 2, Utilities 1, and Printing Tools. And the disk images on my floppy EMU are numbered 1 of 4, 2 of 4, 3 of 4, and 4 of 4. So I'm going to have to use some logical deduction to figure out which is which. Although, luckily, if I insert the wrong image, I'm pretty sure it'll just eject it and tell me to insert the disk again. 1 of 4 is System Tools. 2 of 4 is Utilities 1. So I'm going to guess that 3 of 4 is Utilities 2, and 4 of 4 is Printing Tools. That's just a guess. Alright, so I think it wants that one. Oh, that's cool. The floppy EMU can read the name of the disk, apparently. Yeah, 1, 3, 2, 4. Looking at the progress bar, I'm not convinced it's going to ask for all the disks. Okay, maybe it is. Yay, image writer. Woohoo! Thomas says, firing order of my car. 1, 3, 2, 4, 1, 3, 2, 4, 1, 3, 2, 4. 1 million times faster. Oh, that looks good. I guess let's restart. Well, let's make sure we boot off this image. Wow, that was fast. Oh, okay. We're running single finder. Look at that system, 172K. That is a lean, mean system folder. All right, so let's see here. So we're going to need to get this in control panel installed. So let me go ahead and copy our stuff at file over. All right, now actually, no, I'll copy it. There we go. Yeah. Uh, I have stuff at light on a floppy image. I think this hopefully is a new enough version that I'll be able to expand that archive. Otherwise, I'll have to find another way. Okay, well that is a good sign that I will eventually put a better version of stuff on here, but this will at least be good enough to install hopefully to get the control panel installed. Yes. All right. Looks like this will there we go. All right. So let's see here. Here's our system folder. Here's our uh-oh. Oh, there it is. Thank you, macOS, for hiding the folder I just extracted. All right, so there's our performer. Should just be able to drag that there. And let's see, is this a startup document? All right. All right, let's see if that loads. Yeah, I unstuffed it to the hard drive image. Okay, so all right. So the good news is we've got the extension, or it's a control panel. I don't have the accelerator installed yet. Let's go ahead and shut down. Power down. And I'm going to do this really quickly. So I've got my Deoxit D100L. I am trying to find a foam swab. So I just kind of wanted to swab this on the pins. I guess I can use a Q-tip. That'll be fun. Or, well, it's a generic. All right, there we go. I just want to kind of clean the pins a little. Plus, that'll act as I guess a lubricant to hopefully reduce insertion force because I'm going to be reinstalling it again. All right, just a little bit of deoxit. There we go. And now, hopefully this will be the final install. As long as I don't get so I've got the accelerator over top the processor, and there we go. think I've got it down on, and we will power up. So on a cold boot, Mac Plus does take a little bit of time to start to boot. There we go. Welcome to Macintosh. And there we go. There's our performer. Yeah, don't think Thomas says I am used to slow boots. All right, so I guess just to kind of final. Yeah, I'm gonna run Snooper just to make sure that everything appears to be working. Here we go. So let's see. Go system info. All right. Oh, that's right. Nothing on system info. But if we go to CPU info, we should see. Yep, there we go. Macintosh Plus with the 68030, and we got our 68882. RAM size 4 megabytes. CPU speed not probably not accurate. It should be closer to 16. I don't think Snooper can really handle the larger or faster clock speeds. Let's see, I don't have anything there. All right. Now, so even though we got a 68030 installed here, I'm expecting Snooper will behave fine on a Mac Plus. Jack says 1641. That's close, right? Close enough for government work. Kevin says same difference. Actually, it is quite possible that is close enough for government work. Oh yeah, those hammers we needed for the defense budget, $16,000, $41,000 each. Yeah, about the same difference. Wow, the CPU test is running much faster. Who would have thought? Hardware Hacker says correct. Yeah. Yeah, government deciding between a $16,000 and a $41,000 hammer. They'll go for the $41,000 hammer because it's more expensive. It's probably better, right? All right, and it looks like we are good to go. I think I can end this cycle. I think we've determined the RAM was fine. I'm thinking our problems might have been SCSI driver related. Stian says, I used a $41,000 hammer once. Thomas says, the cost goes up with the serial number. Stian says, hydraulic shear. Yep, that would be a good reason to be using a $41,000 hammer. All right, so for now, we will go ahead and shut our Mac Plus down. Jack says, Stian gets to play with fun toys. So there we go. All right, we got our Mac Plus. We got a fresh install of System 608. We got the accelerator control panel installed. We got the accelerator reinstalled. And Snooper confirms that it sees the accelerator and the FPU. So that is going to be it for tonight's stream. I think having a fresh install of macOS is a good point. So if you have any games that you would recommend for Mac Plus, or maybe even if you would like to recommend maybe some writing software, typing software, maybe some like vintage software for typing notes or kind of writing or whatnot, then yeah, leave a comment. Stian says Dark Castle. All right. Thomas is asking, can it run Doom with an 030? I don't know, Thomas. Stian says Crystal Quest. All right. Yep, Oregon Trail, says Dave. Stian says, MacWrite is your writing software on that baby. All right. All good suggestions. I'll also look at the comments, and I will compile a list of the suggestions, and we may have to load this up at some point with some nice software titles so I can enjoy my Mac Plus. And let's see here. Anyways, I guess with that, yep, that's tonight's stream. So next week, I am going to try to get back to a normal, knock on metal, schedule. I know at the moment I have many things in flux, but I think next week, I'm hoping I can do Monday, Thursday, and start at 8. And, but yeah, Thomas says, everyone knock on Rust. So I think next week I would like to look at, what did I schedule for Monday? What did I schedule for Monday? It was, the 5150. Thomas says, turns out just needed reading glasses. All right. Yeah, so I think Monday, hopefully we'll, I think we'll get to back to the 5150. I'd kind of like to get that machine put back together. So I think we'll look at the 5150 next week. And then we'll go from there. So hopefully Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Hope to see you here. Oh, that's right. I am going to have to figure out why my RGB to HDMI seems to have stopped working. So, okay, we'll look at the 5150 if I can get my RGB to HDMI to work again. Otherwise, I won't have a way to view the output on that computer necessarily because, yeah. Anyways, yep. With that, I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Thanks for hanging out with me, being cool in the chat, the moral support, waiting for a format, all the good stuff. So I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Take care, and God bless. Computerized Start is brought to you by my awesome patrons on Patreon and by your tips and memberships on Ko-fi. These and other channel supporters make my live streams possible. You too can become a channel supporter with tiers starting at just $1. don't forget to smash that like button. And if you've liked what you've seen, subscribe and turn on notifications so that you don't miss the next video or live stream. And as always, thank you for all your support. I hope to see you next time. And until then, take care.